Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. We've got you covered. Traditional leagues, Dynasty League, PPR League, IDP League, even Daily Fantasy Football League. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What is up? Welcome into the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast on a Tuesday today. My name is Tom Dougherty, your host. As always, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Like I said, on a Tuesday today, one day after the NFL came out with their top 10, they finally came to the conclusion of that reveal of the NFL top 100 rankings. They do it every year. It's actually pretty cool. If you go watch it on NFL Network, it's all voted by the players. So they actually have player interviews, and you can hear the guys talking about their peers and telling them what. I mean, all you hear is these pundits and these guys are. I mean, obviously you get a lot of ex-players talking as well, but a lot of these experts and journalists, and they're yelling at the screen, and Stephen A. Smith is so annoying, and he tries to tell you who his favorite player is or who he thinks is the best, but then you actually get this ranking show where they do 10 players every episode, and you actually hear the interviews. They get players to come in there and talk about their peers. So they get the top 100 guys. We've been hearing about all of them, and the top 10 came out yesterday, and Tom Brady was able to capture that number one ranking for the second year in a row, which is pretty amazing, knowing the guy. I mean, yeah, he has won multiple MVPs, but I mean, this guy's going to his 40-year-old season and is still considered the best. I think that I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers got a little shafted there. I think he's just tools wise, yeah, winning wise, Brady has a little bit up on Aaron Rodgers. The Super Bowls, playoff wins, everything, division wins. Obviously, Aaron had some injury issues, but that's also a product of the fact that the Patriots and Bill Belichick actually get people into that. They make moves. They make a lot of moves. They get people on that roster to help Tom out. And the Packers have not really done that. And the one time that Aaron Rodgers was blessed with a good defense, oh, yeah, he won the Super Bowl, by the way. And he did it beating a guy who had already won the Super Bowl, and in a franchise that has the most Super Bowls, that's the Steelers. And I mean, if you guys don't remember that was just a few years ago, and you had Aaron Rodgers. And I think he's still the most talented, just skill-wise, arm talent, throwing on the run, recentering his launch point. I guess pre-snap, nobody's better than Brady. You're right. Okay, I'll give you that. Nobody's better than Brady pre-snap. Yeah, he can slice and dice you and X-Acto knife you, and that's fine. But I think the most just the quarterbacking is that it is, but it's a lot of and I'm trying to think of the word here. Just ad-libbing and making up as you go on. And Aaron, there's only better than Aaron Rodgers than looking at down the field, keeping his eyes on the field while he's on the move, and being able to direct his receivers. And I mean, like the scramble drills there in Green Bay are legit. I mean, you've heard Randall Cobb talk about it. When he's like done running a route, he just keeps his eyes up and goes and finds where his Aaron is, and he tries to get open for him, and he'll find him the ball. So I mean, I think I've had Aaron Rodgers above Tom Brady for a while. Obviously, Tom Brady's been able to take advantage of a good roster and also a weaker division, mind you. If you remember, Aaron Rodgers has the Vikings in his division. They're pretty good. They finished like 13-3 last year. The Lions aren't the slouches. They have a great quarterback. The Bears are but the Patriots, okay, really? Jets, Dolphins, and Bills. Give me three more dysfunctional franchises that are in the same division. Like that. Like, that's crazy. The Bills the Dolphins, and the Jets. They've all had their own issues, and they're all in the same division. I mean, I think that's a very big reason what you can say that the Patriots have been able to be so dominant for these years is because they are in the playoffs every year. There's no question that they're going to win their division. No question whatsoever. So there's a lot of variables, a lot of intangibles that have propped Tom Brady up and has allowed him to get to this back-to-back number one ranking. For the back-to-back number one ranking, even on his 40-year-old season. So, but you're like, oh, Tom, this is supposed to be a fantasy football show. We were talking about the NFL ranks. Well, we're going to get there. We have a lot of show left. We're only 5 minutes in. We have a lot of show left, and a good one planned for you today, as we are going to go through the top. I was going to think about doing the top 10. I might do the top 20, and then just give you my take fantasy-wise, because all these guys obviously are big fantasy implications. Even though we had 2 defensive players in the top 10, that was Aaron Donald and Von Miller, respectively, and they both, I mean, whether you're in an IDP league or even if you are looking to, I mean, if you're not in an IDP league, those guys are probably going to have some sort of effect on your fantasy season, whether it's a team defense or not. Those guys are, they're just wreckers. They're sack artists. They get in the backfield. The defensive line has a big deal. They're gonna rack up points. I mean, that's how you score points. Even if it's not an individual defensive player, you have a team defense. You're the Denver defense, and Von Miller has 4 sacks. There's your points right there for the day. So same thing if you have the Rams defense. I mean, obviously the Rams. That's the thing. Both those defenses. I mean, I know the Broncos had a bit of a down year last year when it came to the secondary play, but both those secondaries can go get the ball too. So both those teams, they're going to definitely be drafted. They're going to be used, the Broncos defense and the Rams defense this year, whether it's IDP or otherwise. Those 2 guys are going to have a lot of impact. So we'll get to them more in depth when we get there. So I do want to start at number 10. I think I have to get my updated rankings because they literally just came out yesterday, guys. These are fresh off the hot press. NFL Network.com. NFL Network had the show last night. So right now, number 10. Last year he was number 6. I think he should be probably back up to number 6. Is Aaron Rodgers. And why number 10? Fantasy-wise, I had him last year, was fine until he got hurt, obviously. Then you roll with, I rolled with Roethlisberger and Matt Stafford and kind of just mix and match there, which is fine too. But with Aaron, you can't really go wrong. He's going to put up 20, whatever, like a solid score is 20, 25, 30 points every week because, especially on this team, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have an interesting little offense there this year. No Jordy Nelson. You get Jimmy Graham added. You have Devontae Adams really taking a step up and becoming a number 1 receiver on that team. Randall Cobb is still there. He's fine. He's a veteran talent. He's got a great camaraderie with Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that he's on the Packers makes him a fantasy weapon. But and then also Geronimo Allison. Don't sleep on him either because he's a great receiver who can get open. And Rodgers has already had some nice success with him. And Aaron, he spreads the ball around. He has favorites probably, but he likes to spread the ball around. He can fit the ball into whoever's open, and he trusts those receivers to make catches. And I'm just excited to see what he can do. Hopefully, him and Jimmy Graham get off on a good foot and can get some good chemistry going early in the season because I think Jimmy can be. I mean, you saw that Aaron was all pissed that they didn't re-sign Jared Cook 2 years ago, or not this current offseason, but the offseason before that, he goes over the Raiders and has a decent season. But that's with Aaron. I mean, it's a different kind of offense, a little bit there. They have more weapons as well. I mean, they have a little bit different kind of weapons with a running game as well. But I mean, with Aaron Rodgers being able to do, if you can at least keep that running game. Just have the running game, keep the defense honest. You'll allow Aaron to do whatever he wants, and he'll rack up fantasy points, and he'll be probably the top fantasy quarterback this year if he can stay healthy the whole season. So, I mean, no freak collarbone injuries, no Anthony Barr coming around and tackling me after a throw out of the pocket. Maybe he'll stay in the pocket a little bit more this season, which is just fine. I mean, they're going to have plenty of options down the field. They also have 2 good running backs in Jones and Williams back there too. Not to mention they still have have Montgomery as well. So Ty Montgomery back there as well. So they have good options. That whole offense should be humming this year, and that means points for Aaron Rodgers, and I think that's going to mean points for a lot of those Green Bay Packers specialty or skilled players on the outside too. So don't be afraid to pick Aaron Rodgers. Probably next. I mean, honestly, I would pick him in the fifth round if I really had to. If I absolutely had to, I'd pick him in the 5th round because I just think he's just too valuable of a player to let go by, especially if you have a lot of spots in between your next pick, and he might be gone between then. You're going to be dealing. I mean, that's the one quarterback I think I'd reach on. I wouldn't reach for Brady. I wouldn't reach for one of the guys coming off injury. Maybe if Deshaun came to me a little closer to the 6th, 7th round, I'd do it. But the only guy I would reach up into the top part of the draft, 5th round like that, would be for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm sure that's the same thing a lot of people are thinking. Yeah, you got to love Russell Wilson because he's going to blah, blah, blah. Deshaun Watson, hopefully, I think he'll be fine too. Carson Wentz. That's the question. Do you take Carson Wentz or take Deshaun? Do you wait for Wentz or do you reach for Deshaun or do you go vice versa? That's why you got to read the room of your fantasy draft, because then you can kind of get a little glimpse on what people are going to be doing, how quickly they're going to be drafting quarterbacks. We'll get to Wentz on the other eventually here in one of these segments as we roll along with this top 10 rank. Aaron Rodgers, number 10. So number 9 is Von Miller, actually. That's Von Miller at number 9. Last year he was number 2, so he slides down about 7 slots to number 9. I just think there's too many good players. There's too much talent to have a I mean, yeah, I love defense, but offense, this is an offensive league, sexy offenses league. Even though I love sacks, honestly, I like defense. I'm not really that homer on one side of the ball. I love defense, love a nice interception, love creating turnovers. It changes the game. It creates momentum. It changes the momentum. It's just everything. It's a great part about sports is all of a sudden you got a team driving down the field and Von Miller comes around and just strip sack, fumble. We're going the other direction. We just stopped you. So, Vaughn, you deserve 9 spot. Fantasy-wise, you're going to be a wrecking ball. You'll be a top pick for IDP leagues. The Denver defense would not be the same without you. Now they have Bradley Chubb over there on the other side. So good luck blocking both of those guys. So I mean, and Vaughn, he'll move around a little bit. He'll go inside, he'll go outside. Sometimes he'll stand up, he'll get down on one in a 3-point stance. He'll come he'll bum rush. He'll bull rush you from a standing up position. And then you got another guy, Bradley Chubb, on the other side. So good luck offensive lines against the Denver Broncos. So I think this is just making this defense even better and better. I mean, whether you're going to really try and attack the middle of that defense and then try and go with the play action and get those linebackers move a little bit. If that's one thing that Denver is going to be lacking on a little bit, it's their linebacker coverage. Because you got Von Miller rushing the quarterback, but can Shane Ray actually cover those all those running backs going out for passes? Because that's really that's the key on defenses this year. I think is going to be how well can all these fast little pass catching running backs get covered by whether it's a safety coming down or a nickel corner. If teams are going to play a lot more nickel this year, covering those little running backs coming out of the backfield, because I think that's what wrecks. I mean, you saw Kamara do it, you saw Gurley do it. You saw Christian McCaffrey do it. Now we got Jerick McKinnon on the Niners going to be doing it. Le'Veon Bell's been doing it for years. So if you can, that's what the new, I think the big thing is. That's why you see Shaquem Griffin go up in the draft, but where he did, because he's a fast linebacker. And he can go after those fast little guys and those lateral routes on side to side. And that's the one thing, Von Miller. Yeah, you like him rushing the quarterback, but he is also so good changing direction and going out to the sidelines and making tackles on the perimeter. The guy goes everywhere. He's a beast, absolute beast. We all know this. He's in the top 10 for a reason. But fantasy wise, he's going to make that defense even better every year. And the fact that they get a top draft pick like a Bradley Chubb to put on the other side of Von Miller even makes it better. And you could really start focusing. Okay, our defensive line's good. I like where our linebacking core is at. Let's focus on the secondary. Let's get a replacement for TJ Ward. Let's get a replacement for Aqib Talib, and we'll go from there. And get after it this season, because the Broncos this season they could be surprising people. The AFC West is no slouch. The Raiders want to reload. The Chiefs are going to be picking up where they left off. They got tons of talent, young quarterback. The Chargers, they have a top defense this year. They made some great draft picks. They get a Derwin James in the secondary now. You got a veteran quarterback in Phillip Rivers. I mean, it's going to be a fun year. What are we, a month away from training camp? Players reporting. Can we get it faster now? This is the NFL rank makes me more excited. All right, so we got through the first two guys. We're going to do that. We're going to kind of spread it out through this whole show here, as we'll get to the next few in the segment after this break. So everybody stay tuned, and we will be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. On a Tuesday, we are going through the top 10 of this NFL Top 100 rankings, which is voted on and made by the players. You can go watch the specials they do on the NFL Network, where they have the players talking about their fellow players and peers in the league, giving some nice thoughts on why these guys are so good and what makes them so good, and what they do to continue to be good every year and year out. So the next up actually is the same kind of thing. Last segment we had a quarterback and a pass rusher. We're gonna have the same kind of thing. Not an outside pass rusher. We'll get there in a moment. But number 8 is Drew Brees. Actually, Drew Brees is number 8. I don't know how these players. If there's one thing, I flip flop Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. They're both great quarterbacks. I love watching both of them. They're both beasts in fantasy. They both put up some serious points. I think maybe this year Brees has a little bit of a down year because of the fact they're really going to try and push this running game. Maybe we'll see the fact that Ingram gets that suspension, so maybe Brees will air it out a little more, especially for the first few weeks of the season. So I know the Saints really have kind of figured out, hey, we could be a defensive running team, and use this two-headed monster and really just be good. Obviously, they were very good last year, but finally, when you get a good defense, I love the Vikings. The Vikings were really fun to watch last year. They'll be even more fun this year with Kirk Cousins up there. But that Eagles-Vikings NFC Championship game was a stinker. It was an absolute stinker. You would have had Saints, Eagles. I think either of those teams could have beat the Patriots. Especially, imagine you see Drew Brees get to the Super Bowl again. That'd be great. But I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the Eagles. They played a great game. They played the team they had to play, and they got to the Super Bowl and beat Brady, so it was fine. But just saying, the Saints are ready to go. The Saints have a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's probably 1,300 yards away from breaking the all-time passing yards record. Peyton Manning's ready for him to do it. He came out and said a couple days ago that Drew deserves it, and he's gonna. It's a matter of time now. So it is a matter of time. Drew will usurp that position number 1 spot and become the all-time leader in career passing yards. So that's pretty good right there. That'll get you a top 10 rank right there. I mean, the fact that you are doing this, not only are you going to be able to break an all-time record like this and become the all-time leader in passing yards, but you're also still a very good quarterback. I mean, Peyton did it. Kind of even after the neck surgery, goes to the Broncos, has the great year, but Brees is he's been not really that injured. He's got re-signed contracts. Hasn't really been that much noise about how him asking for more money or trying to get another contract. I know they're trying to pump it up a little bit in the media, but he eventually just signs again with the Saints. No problem, no questions asked. I'm Drew Brees. I just like to go home with my family and play football. This year, obviously, I think is going to benefit him every year, even more. The fact that the Saints have been able to draft the way they have, you get a top lineman and Ryan Ramczyk to solidify his offensive line, protect your quarterback. You get a big a talented young running back to go along with your other talented running back, and Mark Ingram, to take the pressure off of your age. I'm not saying he is aging. I'm not saying he's regressing because of aging, but he is getting older. So I'm just saying that's the facts, but nothing against him. He's still Drew Brees, still has the top of his ability. And then you have a great defense. So you've used three things. You obviously draft Marcus Lattimore. This year I think was a little bit of a stretch in the first round to getting who they get, the guy from University of Texas San Antonio, the big pass rusher. He's pretty good though, actually, so I'm sure he'll be fine too. But the Saints went 3 for 3 in the first round in 2017, and that's what you saw last year on the field too. Drew Brees was playing free and easy, and I think this year he'll be even freer and easier. Maybe not for the first 4 weeks, but but fantasy wise, the first 4 weeks are probably when you're going to get the most play out of him and the most points out of him, because he's going to be throwing the ball a little bit more, and there's no Mark Ingram, so we'll see how Kamara can work by himself. I think he'll be fine. He's just too talented to not do it. But the fact that they're able to do all those things for Drew Brees, put those things around him, I think the defense is a huge part of it, because it seems that every year Drew was in a shootout for his life, shootouts to try and get to the playoffs or something like that, and the Saints were always trying to outscore the other team, versus now it's just like, okay, you only got to score like 3 times. We're good. You score 21 points, we're done. It's over. They ain't scoring more than 20 on this defense. We're good. So Drew's got to love that, obviously, and he's got to love the fact that he's got a nice young offensive lineman. He's got a nice young running back, and he can finish up his career in New Orleans with that record under his belt, with a Super Bowl ring, and maybe even go get another one this year, because I think that team could be destined. The NFC is absolutely stacked. So it will be tough getting through those playoffs, but this is a year that I think the Saints are a revenge year. They're out for blood, and I think Drew Brees can lead them there again. Speaking of out for blood, or just a leader on the team, the number 7 on this list is Aaron Donald of the Los Angeles Rams, and actually Aaron is not with his team right now since he wants a new contract. He deserves a new contract. The Rams are going to start. You got to start paying the paper. These Rams now. You got to pay Aaron Donald. You're going to pay Goff. You got to pay Gurley. You're going to pay. I don't know if they're going to even re-sign. If they're going to even bring back Aqib Talib or Peters or Sue after next year or after this year. But you got Aaron Donald. He's the center of your defense. He's probably going to be, if you do IDP leagues, he's kind of like that J.J. Watt pick. He's a pretty much obvious first guy you take for any IDP league if you're doing a full defense, whether it's a down lineman, a linebacker, a corner, and a safety, or if you're just doing one player. He's going to be on your team. You're going to want him because he is just an absolute wrecking ball. Whether it's sacks, it's tackle in the backfield, it's a pass deflection, getting his hands up in the air. This is a guy who has quietly put together quite the highlight package. You go watch his little segment on the NFL Top 100 when they did the top 10 yesterday. Their players they're surprised. I think he was ranked this high. I think they thought he was that good to get down in the top 5. Like Von Miller was last year, because this is the pedigree and the profile that you kind of gave Von Miller last year or 2 years ago when they were in the Super Bowl, and you're saying now that's Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the league. Assuming J.J. Watt stays healthy, he'll try and fight for that this year, but this is actually obviously coming into this season. There is nobody better than Aaron Donald on the defensive line. So you got to give him credit. You got to get him. Obviously, this season is going to be interesting to see what he does with Ndamukong Suh. The whole Rams in general, people are like, "Oh, the Rams are ready to go. They're fired up. They got their playoff experience. They're going to avenge their loss from last year." And then there's other people saying that they're going to regress. They're going to go back down a little bit this year. They're going to come back to the mean a little bit this year. I think they're too talented too. I think their defense might get a little bit squirrely. I think that, fortunately they do have the pass rush to probably bail out their secondary a little bit, but I just don't know how their safety situation, but the two corners on either side, those guys haven't had really good they haven't had good pedigrees when it comes to locker room conduct or just conduct whatsoever. They both have kind of had their own issues. Maybe if they come to this team, it's more of a good mixture of veterans and young players, but also young players that are veterans and have been with this team for a little bit and have experienced what they did last year. So maybe they'll be able to tone it down a little bit to get this Rams team where they want to be. But as far as fantasy, you can't really go wrong with Aaron Donald. Whether you're gonna pick the Rams defense as your team defense for a regular standard league, or if you're an IDP player, you're gonna take Aaron Donald as soon as you possibly can, because he is just stats. He's tackles, he's sacks. He's gonna put up his numbers. It's pretty much automatic. You saw his workout routines and everything, how he does, how quick he is with his hands, how fast he is getting off the ball. His power he can use because he's not the tallest guy, so he can use that leverage to get up underneath the pads of those big linemen. So and he's also super quick and I think I call him somebody slippery. You call him slippery because they can slip right by and get to those little gaps in the offensive line, and then get to the pay dirt there at the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is called the sack, or at least a tackle for loss. It's gonna be a handoff. I mean, there's nothing better. You love a sack. Honestly, like a clean sack of just lineman just comes and jumps right off the ball, destroys the pass blocker, and goes right after the quarterback. Now, I think I like that, but then also go look at the play Jadeveon Clowney made in college where he busts through the line and just hits the running back, not the quarterback, the running back. Literally the guy just got the ball and put it in his hand by the quarterback, and he gets hit 5 yards in the backfield. I mean, those are some great plays in the NFL. But you gotta love Aaron Donald and what he can do. And it really set the tone for a defense. And then also, so number 6 actually is his teammate, and that's Todd Gurley. And that's Todd Gurley is number 6, and that's kind of a quick little upshot. I think what he did last year to set put everybody on notice, number one, about what this kid could do. Obviously, we saw what he could do his rookie season. Then he kind of regressed a little bit, and then puts together this kind of season where I think he honestly should have been. He was the offensive player of the year, I think, but then Brady, of course, the reason why he's number one. I mean, honestly, I don't really know what to say, but the fact that Brady's number one, we'll get there when we get there, because this is all voted on by his peers, so I can't really say much. But as far as it goes with Todd Gurley, I think he could have been the MVP last year very easily. You saw with what he did last season at the end of the year on a playoff for a team that's already headed to the playoffs. He did not take his foot off the gas whatsoever. He racks up some serious. I mean, this guy's a fantasy machine. Every time I looked at my phone, I had him on my team. He won my league for me last year. You guys know this if you've been listening for a while. He won my team for me. Every time I looked at my phone, he was getting either a catch for 10 yards or was running a 15-yard gain, first down, getting in the end zone. I mean, this guy was the all-purpose yards machine. Whether it was through the air, was a great security blanket for Jared Goff, who I'm sure that if you're Sean McVay and you have a young quarterback in Jared Goff, and you have a talented running back with Todd Gurley, if you're talking to him as a quarterback, it's like, dude, first progression, second progression, third progression, quick. If they're not there, check down. You got a Pro Bowl, All-Pro running back to throw the ball to. Let him break some tackles. Just don't let him out to dry. Don't lay him out to dry, but just keep it safe where he can maybe get in some space to run, and that's what he did last year. I mean, you saw what some of these little 2, 3, 4 yard swing passes from Jared Goff turned into 10, 15, 20, 25 yard gains, because Todd was just crazy off the catch and was loose enough either to hurdle tacklers or break tackles. It doesn't matter. I mean, they just get the ball in the guy's hands and let him run with it, because he's crazy. I mean, the guy, you see for the size that he is, because he's not a small guy. He's like 6'2". I think he's like 6 foot or 6'1" at least. probably 210, 220, and he's fast. He's extremely fast. His feet move crazily, really fast. You see this kind of strides he can put down the field. Those high strides, evading tacklers and such. But then also he's big enough to break tackles too. So gotta love Todd Gurley. He deserves this top 10. So the top 10 ranking. Number 6 is probably exactly right for what I think he is, because I think the problem with him is that he hasn't shown sustainability. He's shown great peaks, and then he's also shown great valleys. And he's gone up and he's gone down, and he can stay up, and he needs to find that up point where he can stay up there, and then he'll probably he can find himself up in the Le'Veon Bell territory, up in the second and third and fourth slots, which, I mean, you say, oh, he's only 6, he's so close, but it's a whole nother level up there in the top 5, which we're going to talk about on the other side of this break. So everybody stay tuned, and we will be right back with that top 5.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA Podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast on a Tuesday. Today, here the day after they announced the top 10 of the top 100 NFL players as voted on by the NFL players themselves. That was on NFL Network last night, and the top 10 did come down a little differently than I thought, maybe. I think there were some players who were a little bit out of place. We could have seen some flip-flops here and there. Some surprises up at the top numbers. Not really many surprises here in this little segment that I'm going to do with these two guys. At number 5 was Le'Veon Bell. That may be a little surprise to some people, thinking that could be actually a little high, or high or low. Just he should be up on the a low rank for him, a high number. But a low rank for Le'Veon Bell, a player of his caliber who is pretty much a lock, a top number one, first round pick in fantasy football, especially in PPR. I think he does benefit a little bit more. It is a little bit more in PPR than he does in the standard league, because of his ability just to be so dangerous out of the backfield, how much Big Ben throws it to him out of the backfield. Because, I mean, right now, no Martavis Bryant. You got Jesse James, and you got Juju Smith-Schuster, and you got Antonio Brown. And obviously Le'Veon is as good as a receiver as any. And if they ever do an empty set, it doesn't mean that Le'Veon Bell leaves the field. It means that he goes out and spreads out wide, or goes into the slot and plays in that position. So then have the linebacker lined up against him, or a safety coming down, or even a nickel corner. Good luck against Le'Veon, because he'll burn you. And I mean, the only thing I think that kind of, maybe it's the durability, maybe it's the fact that he's been used so much, maybe it's because there's so much talent underneath still to get to. I mean, we have 4 more guys left, and if you say there's only 4 guys that are better than you in regardless of position. Anyways, I mean, so if you think about it, of the guys I haven't talked about yet, so we're on Le'Veon Bell. He's a running back. There's only 2 running backs in this top 10, him and Gurley. The remaining guys are probably mostly receivers, and maybe another quarterback or 2, because we'll get there when we do. But this is the best running back in the league. This is a guy who has year in and year out done 30-35 touches a game, whether it's carrying the ball or catching the ball to the backfield. He's elusive off the catch. He's elusive in the backfield. He's able to break tackles. He can screen passes, swing passes, pitches, read option, zone running game, anything. Put him in anything, he'll make it work. I mean, he'll break a tackle, he'll bust through tackles, he'll block for. That's another thing. This guy that actually a lot of people don't think about, and because it's not really flashy, but why do you think Big Ben, especially lately, has been able to stay so healthy and also stay so clean in the pocket? It's because Le'Veon Bell is one of the best pass blockers in the league from the running back position. The guy doesn't slouch. Todd Gurley's pretty good at it too, but the guy doesn't. He can get kind of juked a little bit, but Le'Veon, he's one of the best pass blockers from a running back position that I've seen in a long time. Whether it's just getting a chip in on a guy and then going out for a pass, or it's actually holding his ground and really waiting for that free blitzer that comes around the edge or comes through the A gap or B gap, whatever it may be, and he's right there. He does not hold off. He stands his ground. He's one of the best guys that keep giving it. I mean, all it does is give Big Ben more time. Yeah, Big Ben's elusive enough. He does like to extend plays himself, but when you have that ability of Big Ben, and then also a guy like Le'Veon, who is not going to stand down. He's going to be right there up in the teeth of the defense, giving his quarterback more time because he knows the playmakers he has down the field. He knows that he just all Antonio Brown needs is a split second or two more to get open, and if he can give Big Ben that time, then that's going to help the team. And that's why football is probably the ultimate team sport, because you have the ability to help your team even without touching the football. And Le'Veon obviously helps his team a lot when he does, and helps his team a lot when he doesn't touch the ball. So you got to give him credit, and you got to give him the due diligence. And I think that's why the fact that you have players, you have NFL players voting on this and being the people who decide on these rankings, they take it all into account. They don't just look at the stats. Oh, he had 20 touchdowns last year and 3,500 all-purpose yards or something like that. No, he does everything. He does his job. Whatever his assignment is, he's ready to go. And honestly, for a guy who hasn't really gotten much love from his team, you got to give the Steelers a little bit of a kick in the rear end, because you can franchise. That's the thing about the NFL. Players have no. They're so on the leverage is so against the players. It is ridiculous because Le'Veon can't even try and say, like, look at Kawhi Leonard right now. Kawhi Leonard is under contract with the San Antonio Spurs. I know we're going basketball. This is a little quickly just to tell you the difference between the NBA and the NFL. In the NBA, they must have better lawyers drawing up their CBA papers. There's no franchise tag in the NBA. There's no leverage for a team to have over a player. It's a superstar-driven league. You have a superstar in Kawhi Leonard saying, I don't want to play here anymore. I want to play for the Lakers. And now what's happening? The Spurs are in a position here where they have to either make a trade or whether they're going to try and call his bluff. The Steelers don't even have to worry about that. If Le'Veon Bell tells them he wants to leave, they'd be like, sorry, we're just going to franchise tag you again. We don't care. We don't want to have to negotiate a contract with you because you're going to ask for too much money anyways compared to your position, even though, I mean, honestly, if I'm the Steelers, I wouldn't. I kind of agree. Football, honestly, with the injury issues they have, you're not really giving much assurance to that player, which that's been the main... That's been the main complaint by these players, especially Le'Veon Bell. Is like, I get a 1-year contract. I know it's for all this much money, but they can cut me like that. They can cut me tomorrow. If I break my leg or if I tear up my leg and have to get some serious surgery or something like that, I'm going to be out for a year plus. They can cut me like that. I don't care if it doesn't matter that I'm Le'Veon Bell. It doesn't matter. They can cut me like that, and that's something that's he's voiced, and something that you can definitely tell that is being voiced around the NFL, because these franchise tags, I do understand why they're in place in this league. It makes sense because of the injury issues you have with the injury issues you can have in the NFL, obviously, and the fact that if you do sign Le'Veon Bell to a 3-4 year deal and gets hurt in year 2 and you're kind of scrooged, we have $20 million more of guaranteed money to pay you. That's going to affect our salary cap, and it's going to affect our team as a whole. I understand that, but it sucks when you have a player like Aaron Rodgers. We do go back to Aaron really quick, who literally cannot leave. He is locked down in Green Bay. Even if he gets even if he doesn't want to sign a new contract, he wants to wait his contract out and become a free agent. Sorry, Aaron, we're going to franchise tag you. We don't care. It's going to cost us $35 million. We're going to pay you that much anyways. $39 million. Okay. Sorry, Aaron. You can't demand a trade. It's just different leagues. And Le'Veon Bell, I don't think he's gotten his due diligence there. The franchise tag. I mean, the franchise tag is literally designed for players like Le'Veon Bell. You know that, right? It's exactly for him. But I mean, fantasy wise, you almost can't beat it. Best running back, number one pick in a lot of different leagues. He'll be the number one pick a lot this year. I'm sure we'll see with David Johnson coming back from injury. There's not really much. I mean, unless you really want to pick a receiver, then you can go there. And speaking of receiver, here's our next guy. Julio Jones coming in at number 4. So there's your two. So we have 4 players left. You got 2 receivers, 2 running backs. You can try and guess who it is. I'm sorry, 2 receivers, 2 quarterbacks. You can try and guess who it is. But number 4 is Julio Jones. A lot of stuff going around Julio Jones right now. Honestly, that's the thing. This is another discrepancy I have. Might be a pedigree thing. I know this is NFL players voting on this stuff. I think that there was one snub in this top 10, and I don't want to say Julio deserved it or Julio doesn't deserve it either, because he does, but DeAndre Hopkins got snubbed. Sorry. I think DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones are equal. If not, DeAndre's got a little bit of a step up on him at this point, because Julio has kind of gotten lost. I mean, you saw some of the stuff. He's a great talent, great receiver. I'd love to have him on my team. No questions asked about that, especially when you saw all of his stuff with social media, getting rid of the Falcons affiliations, even though now we're hearing that this has to do with him getting ready for the season, and it has nothing to do with him wanting a new contract or anything, which it totally does. But whatever. I'm not going to argue with that. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to end up having a better career. I think that just because he's on the Texans, he hasn't gotten a quarterback yet. If DeAndre Hopkins had Matt Ryan, I don't know. The sky's the limit. The sky is the limit. Julio Jones now is going to have a receiving core, be on a receiving core now with Mohamed Sanu, Austin Hooper, and who else? They got the rookie Calvin Ridley from Alabama, but then Taylor Gabriel's gone, right? Yeah. So they that's what they're doing with this. That's how they're going at it in Atlanta. And you got a former MVP as your quarterback. You should be able to do just fine. The fact that you can't beat, you can't. They beat the. They win a road game against a tough Rams team, and then you get stymied at another road game in Philadelphia. You couldn't do anything on offense. I don't know. I think what you've seen DeAndre Hopkins do with lesser quarterbacks, with Tom Savage, then he finally gets to Deshaun Watson and racks up how many touchdowns? I don't know. Sean had 19 in like 5 weeks. I'm sure a lot of them went to DeAndre Hopkins. I could look it up to be some more specific, but it's kind of crazy. Sorry taking up so much of this time. I was supposed to be talking about Julio Jones, who is a great receiver, great talent. Love him, love Julio Jones. No questions asked. But if I was really going to pick between 2 guys to take in the first round, if I had to pick a receiver in the first round, absolutely had to, and it wasn't obviously Antonio Brown, I think I would take DeAndre Hopkins. Because it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. It doesn't matter. I think if he does get double covered, he's better of shedding the double coverage. Even with lesser weapons in Texas, he's been able to. Houston, he's been able to get open. Julio has had Mohamed Sanu, a great receiver. He had Taylor Gabriel over there as well. He's been putting up numbers. He should be putting up much better. Not much better, but he should be putting up better numbers than DeAndre Hopkins, going off of who's throwing the ball and who's around them and what kind of offense they play and all that kind of things. But no, DeAndre's right there with him. He's right there with him. I don't know why the NFL player is putting him out. He drops out of the top 10. Maybe there's too many good players, but I had to give DeAndre Hopkins his due diligence as well in this little segment with the 4th selection, because the fourth best player in the NFL, according to the NFL players themselves, is Julio Jones, the receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. Is he going to be Atlanta very much longer? I don't know, but I think obviously he's a transcendent player. He's a great player. Has been able to put up some serious highlight reel plays, but sometimes he can get lost out there. You saw what happened I know his foot was going to come down out of bounds anyways, but the ball goes right through his hands on that last play in Philadelphia for a chance to go to the NFC Championship game again and get back to the Super Bowl and trying to avenge your loss. What happened? You think you have you have Julio Jones, or if you had Antonio Brown, or if you had DeAndre Hopkins? I can't speculate. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, they would have been able to extend that lead." I mean, it's kind of hard saying it for a receiver because receivers are they're seemingly almost as good as their quarterbacks are. But you think that they would have blown that lead if they had DeAndre Hopkins? I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no because you can't really. It's a hard thing to put on one receiver. So you blow a 28-3 lead. That's on everybody. That's on your coach getting conservative. That's on your defense getting conservative. That's on your quarterback not making throws. That's on you throwing the ball on 2nd and 8 from your own 10-yard line and getting a strip sack. I mean, that's pretty much everything that happens right there. So that's that. I'm not going to blame it on Julio Jones, but the fact that he's at number 4 and DeAndre Hopkins is not on the top 10 at all makes me question some of these NFL, not all of them, but just a little bit. Like, what's going on here? What does my boy DeAndre have to do, as he thinks he's the best receiver in the league? I think he can become the best receiver in the league very easily. And make it tough with Antonio Brown, obviously being out there. That guy's ridiculous. We'll get to him in the next segment, but so it's funny. All right, that'll wrap it up for this segment. We'll go to the top 3 in the last segment of the show today. I'll give you some talk on their fantasy implications as well. Obviously, all these guys are going to be, especially obviously the offensive guys are going to all be top picks in the drafts. All the drafts are coming up this fall, or later this summer. So, I mean, if you're IDP, maybe even pick Von Miller or Aaron Donald up in the higher rounds, but all these guys, whether or not they're quarterbacks, I know the quarterbacks probably go a little bit later, but who have I talked? I mean, Jones, Gurley, Bell, all those guys are going to go up in the top, and then I'm sure a couple of these guys I'm going to get to in the next segment will do it so as well. All right, we'll be right back after the break, so stay tuned.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered. Listen. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, the final segment of the day today on a Tuesday, as we've been going through the top 10 of the NFL Top 100 rankings. On Thursday, we'll look at some other guys throughout the Top 100 rankings, at least some of the offensive guys when we talk about fantasy, at least. Always got to have that fantasy angle here on the Fantasy Football Show on a Tuesday here as we get through number 3. Number 3 is back to a quarterback. But number 3 quarterback, who do you think is going to be? It's going to be a young guy. It's Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles, coming back off that knee injury. That's the one thing for me that make me a little wary in the fantasy football league, but if you listen to the show, you'll know that I've done these mock drafts, and I actually have ended up picking Carson Wentz. I think he's going to be just fine. He's a young kid. Can heal fast, is going to heal just fine, but from this knee injury. Same kind of thing for Deshaun Watson. But to see Carson Wentz at number 3, Carson Wentz is not only is he ahead of Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, he's multiple spots ahead of these guys. And this isn't just like some Philadelphia fans voting on this. This is the NFL players voting on this. And I need to go. I don't think I saw what they had to say about Carson Wentz, but the fact I need to go watch the little commentary they gave on Carson Wentz when they revealed his rank at number 3, because this guy has barely been in the league, has not been in the league very long. is a great talent. Not going to take anything away from him whatsoever regarding his talent, his ability to do on the field. But can he sustain it? Can he continue to do it long enough? I think that they definitely think he can because of his just the size, the frame, everything he's able to do, but he's able to show at such a young age and a short time in the NFL. I think the league will adjust to him a little bit, but the fact that he can do a lot of different things, and it's going to be tough for the league to adjust to all the different things that he can do. So, I mean, whether it's going to be a career of great success, or it's going to be a career where he's going to have to deal with his injury issue for a while. I think this was kind of more of a freak thing where obviously he gets caught in a bad area where he's making a cut and the grass kind of gives on him a little bit. So whether this is going to keep him from maybe running his, I mean, no, the thing is, the injury for me is, number one, it could go either way, one of two ways. That it's going to make him less mobile and therefore more vulnerable in the pocket, where he's not going to be able to do exactly what he does to make him successful, which is move around and be that guy who can extend plays. And he'll get a tendency to hold the ball too long and be more susceptible in the pocket, or it can go the other way, the more positive way, and it will force him to stay in the pocket more. It'll force him to really go through his progressions without moving down the field, which I think he does great anyways. That's one thing why I think he actually is this high up, is his mechanics are extremely refined for his age. They are extremely refined from his age. His footwork is impeccable. Go watch his film from some of these games he's had where he's thrown 3-4 touchdowns on a day. It's because his footwork is good. He's also been able to look off safeties and read defenses in a way that guys his age have not been able to do in the past at his level. I mean, they've been able to reset his feet, get a new launch point in the pocket, or either outside or inside the pocket, has been amazing. He's been able to feel pressure around him and keep his eyes on the field has been amazing. So it's all those little intangibles where I think he does get this rank at number 3. I don't necessarily agree with it because there's just too much talent. You have Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I know he's coming off. I think it's because he's coming off the injury. He got a bit of a shove fell down the board a little bit because of the injury. I think they told the players to really vote off of what the performance was last season. Carson Wentz got hurt too, but the thing is, I think it was just so crazy the numbers he was able to put up. If you look at those numbers just side by side with other quarterbacks, and you say, oh yeah, he didn't play week 16, 17. Or, I mean, what did he get hurt? Did he get hurt week 14 or 15? I can't have to look that up. But so he didn't play a few weeks. I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't play a few weeks either. But look at Carson Wentz's stats. We'll be like, oh yeah, it's a full season. That's a pretty solid season. Oh yeah, he missed like 3 games. So there you go. If you had 3 more games of those numbers, you'll be like, holy crap, wow, yeah, he deserves to be number 3 on this list. No questions asked, no whatsoever. But then of course you have to beg the question: was it him all the way? Was it his team? Obviously, he had a great roster to work with. His backup quarterback won the Super Bowl with that roster, so maybe it wasn't really that much to. I don't know. Nick Foles is a great quarterback, but Nick Foles ain't no Carson Wentz. I know that, but the fact that Carson Wentz leaves and Nick Foles jumps right in there and takes that team and wins the Super Bowl with that team. I'm not taking anything away from Carson Wentz, but I'm telling you, that's a team. That is a roster right there. I forgot what the Eagles, their GM's name is, but yeah, they got a team figured out over there. They were able to create a roster where it didn't matter who the quarterback was. I think Carson Wentz, honestly, no offense to Carson, he's more than this. He's bigger part of the team than this, but it was almost like he's a cherry on top. He would have been a cherry on top. They would have won the Super Bowl anyways without him. They did without him. They would have won it with him probably too. So yeah, when you have great players on your team, it's easy to kind of say, oh, he could. It wasn't him. It was the other guys. He would have won it anyways. They won it without him. They won it with Nick Foles. I'm glad that it didn't. I don't know when they do these vote for the rankings for the NFL ranking, whether it's before or after the playoffs. But it's nice to see that he's still up in the top 5, and they didn't take anything away from him, even though it was his team that won the Super Bowl without him, and seemingly did not need him, and that their talent was able to get by. I mean, Nick Foles made some great throws. You got to give Nick Foles, he won the MVP. He became the MVP of that team in the Super Bowl. You got to give him all the credit in the world. He made all the throws, and so maybe he gets a little sliver of this third. But Carson Wentz is the whole package, from all the refined tools that he's able to do. Obviously, he's got the arm strength, he's got the leg talent. That's why I think he's so high up in this list, is because of his ability to do everything. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife back there. He can run, he can throw, he's got the size, durability, everything like that. We've got to make sure he's going to do a full season of healthiness. But his sky's the limit is for him. And third spot, maybe a little bit high for me. Comfortable wise, he's only been in the league for 2 years, so maybe a little bit of a question mark there, but I think it's based off more potential and what he's been able to do in a short period of time, along with his amazing mechanics that he has when he throws the football and works in the pocket there. All right, number 2. It's too much time on Carson Wentz. Number 2 is Antonio Brown. You got to give these two guys their due diligence. Antonio Brown is number 2. That's pretty simple for me. That's no questions asked. I believe it. He defenses have to change and prepare for him. His chemistry with Big Ben is unmatched across the league. There's no there's no receiver quarterback tandem that has the gel relationship that they have when throwing the football. It's just like Big Ben just flicks his wrist and the ball flies, and Antonio Brown just goes and gets it every single time. You got to give them all the credit in the world to be able to have the nonverbal communication they have while playing football, to be able to have you've even had... you had Big Ben, I think, or one of them said in an interview that they don't even have hand signals. Big Ben just kind of gives him a look. He can even see through his helmet. He kind of gives him a look. He turns his head to him, and Antonio Brown knows. You cannot. It's impossible. They'll beat you almost every single time, assuming, because Ben, you gotta give Ben all the credit. He's got some of the best touch I've ever seen out of a quarterback. But obviously, you guys got to catch the ball, and Antonio Brown's going to do that. The thing is, Antonio Brown has the combination of power, speed, hand size, hand ability, strength to be able to go catch the ball like that. But then also, he has his elusiveness to be able to get down the field and get some yards after the catch too. Really hard to bring down in the open field. So he's kind of the all package. Also, he runs great routes. You have no. Sometimes if you're a DB, how do you possibly read his hips? Do you look at his eyes? How do you possibly read which way he's going to go? Because I bet you every single one of his routes is an option route. He reads the defense. Big Ben's good enough to know that when they can read the defense the same way. He knows Antonio Brown's going to in cut, or he's going to keep going off the top, or he's going to cut in on a post. He could probably change his route on the top of his route. He'll do whatever kind of. He probably has three different things he could do at the top of his route, and Big Ben will probably know what he's going to do because they're so interconnected, so connected, where they both read the defense and probably both see the same thing. It's like, okay, that safety's playing a little more outside coverage. We have more of a void on the inside. I should run more of a deep post or a deep cross. Okay. Oh, that safety's cheating more towards the inside. Big Ben, just look him off to the left a little bit. I'll run it up the sideline and beat him on the sideline. Done. It's the same route. Just don't cut it off the top. They're playing cover 2. I have a little slot in the middle of the field. I can run a post right between the two safeties and get in the middle of the field over the top. Done. Boom. There's the football. It's so, for a receiver to be able to do that, even when you bracket coverage them, they could change the play and so fast on you, just the two of them playing a little cat and mouse game with the defense by themselves, the two of them. And it just, obviously, I think that Antonio Brown's genius goes hand in hand with Ben Roethlisberger's genius. I know that. So you have to give him kind of some credit for making Antonio Brown the way he is. You wouldn't be able to do that without a quarterback who has a great touch like Ben Roethlisberger has, but to be able to do what they've done, I just really want to see him in a Super Bowl. I think the Steelers can do it this year. I think that they have, if they can get their defense figured out. Obviously, the loss of Ryan Shazier is a big blow. We all wish the best to him, but the Steelers in that offense, you got Bell, you got Brown. You got Juju Smith-Schuster now. You should be able to take that and run with it when you have a Super Bowl and Hall of Fame quarterback under center as well. So Antonio Brown, honestly deserving of this number 1 ranking, which means gets to, number 2 ranking, which gets us to number 1, and that would be Tom Brady, the GOAT. You got to hand it to him. The guy is ageless. He takes care of his body. He doesn't drink beer. He's diligent. He does everything he needs to do. He goes and makes documentaries. He teases us about his retirement here and there, and then he goes out there and just shreds you and picks. I mean, they shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Tom Brady. No chance whatsoever. The Jaguars played the best game they could have possibly played in that game. They didn't. The guy who thought might have lost the game for him, who probably, maybe you say Blake Bortles versus Tom Brady. You think you take Blake over that? I mean, Brady over Bortles a little bit easily there. But no questions asked. Oh, Bortles isn't ready. He's going to lose the game. No, Bortles was not on the field. Tom Brady won that game. He won that game. He took that game away from the Jaguars. They had it. Their defense was playing great. He came back and took that game away from Jacksonville on a 4th and 18. I mean, yeah, Jacksonville defense, I don't know what you guys are doing there. Your best defense in the league, you can't cover a 4th and 18? Really? You're letting Tom Brady, you can't get home on a 4th and 18? But no, Tom Brady threw a dime. He got his man, I think it was Amendola, for the first down, and that was all, and it was history. I mean, he was a couple calls, here and there, calls in the back of the end zone away from winning a Super Bowl again. I mean, I feel like those were both catches, honestly. No offense. The Zach Ertz catch, obviously catch. The Corey Clement catch was a catch. But this is about Tom Brady. It's about him being the number 1 ranked player in the NFL off of an MVP season. I think it's the fact that he's been so successful for so long. His age has been not a non-factor. He gets back there. He does what he needs to do. He's honestly a technician. He's not going to beat you with any specific skill or raw talent. He's just going to look at the defense. Okay. Look you off, open up a little void in the middle of the zone. Oh, you're playing man-to-man? Okay, let's run a quick little in route. Let's get him off the coverage. Done. He's just so exact with his throws and with the fact that he can know what he's going to do before the ball gets snapped. The preparation is imminent. It's unmatched. Absolutely unmatched. He's the number 1 player in the league, according to his peers. We'll see how much longer he stays in this league for. I know he's been teasing about his retirement for a while, but he goes out on his Instagram and goes on Instagram and comments the 45, the 45. So whether we're going to get 4 more seasons of Tom Brady, we'll see. I think he got less than that. I think it's more closer to 2 or 3, maybe even 1. But going off of what happened in the documentary, but he's number 1. He's a guy in fantasy. To get back to the fantasy thing. I didn't really talk about Antonio Brown, but Antonio Brown, obviously, he's your number 1 receiver, guys. Come on. But the Tom Brady, whether he's your number 1 quarterback, whether you like a Aaron Rodgers better, but Brady's going to get his points. He's going to get them. Whether they decide to throw it to the end zone, that's the one thing about the Patriots. They don't really care how they score, whether it's a running play or not. So you're not really going to get automatic touchdowns from Brady. Maybe you'll get them eventually over the course of the season, but he might not be putting up as many 3, 4, 5 touchdown games as he did in the past. They're probably going to be spreading out that offense a little bit better, especially when they have the running backs they have now on that team. So that's my Brady outlook for this year. But he definitely is deserving of that number 1 pick. I was a little surprised to see he got it again at his age, but you got to give him credit. The guy's puts up numbers, and he's able to get you. I mean, he didn't have Gronk for a lot of the season last year. He uses no-name receivers a lot. He's turned Chris Hogan into a top receiver, Pro Bowl receiver as well. So you got to give him all the credit in the world. All right. That'll wrap it up for this segment. That'll wrap it up for the show today, as we have gone through all the top 10 players in this top 100 ranking. We'll probably talk about some other guys and do some talk on the other ranks as far as it goes with fantasy. Some of my favorite fantasy players, we'll talk about them and their rank on Thursday. So stay tuned. Make sure you tune in for that one on Thursday, and we'll have some fun there in that show. All right, everybody have a good beginning of your week. Have a happy Tuesday. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Talk to you on Thursday. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.GSMCFantasyFootball.com. GSMCpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.